Hi, everybody. My name is Tamasia Johnson, and I am a fitness coach with Curvylista Fitness. And so if you see me on social, that's what I go by. I help women make their body goals possible. And so if you tell me what you want to do, I'm going to lay out the plan, nutrition, workouts, mindset, all that good stuff to get you from where you are to where you want to go. And I got started from my own experience. Women have body goals. My body goal was to be able to walk into most stores and be able to find my size. Had gotten to a point where things just wasn't looking right, feeling right. And I had to go through the process of figuring it out. Once I did, I'm like, oh, it's on. I want to help as many women possible be able to do that. And so personally, I'm actually sharing today, I think I'm down about 67 pounds. And so really just sharing what that looks like, what the journey is, and just being an inspiration and a motivation to women to let them know that, you're in control and you can do it. And so that's what I do.
That is awesome. And when did you start doing the fitness coaching and the nutritional coaching professionally?
So it was, you probably all heard about the whole side hustle thing, so it started out as a side hustle that I didn't even take that serious. I started out teaching some group fitness classes and I'm like, oh, I could do this. Oh, I really like this, but it was still something I did after work, after my full-time job. I had some women say, ask me for additional help. I'm like, oh, I could really make some money helping people. And then just through that, the side hustle piece of it, I'm like, let me take this serious because I'm really good. And then it became a full-time, no more 9 to 5 recently, October, as you know. I decided to jump, take a leap of not really faith, but in myself. Like, if you're going to do it for real. And at that time I had opened up a full studio. I was juggling multiple classes, hustling to my 9 to 5, and back from the 9 to 5, and just trying to keep everything all in between. And so it's been in total side hustle to full time, a little over 3 years. And it's been good. It's been exciting. It's been a journey, nonstop, not boring. And yeah.
That sounds amazing. So I know a big part of what you do is you teach people that this is not just about working out really hard, going on a fad diet, and then you're at your goal. You teach them to alter their lifestyle. So how do you get your clients to understand that? How do you give them the spiel of how it's going to work?
Yep. So this is why I like it so much, because while there is one spiel, it's not really one spiel. So I teach them the basics about like protein, carbs, X, Y, and Z. We talk about mindset and then some of the language that we think is helping us, and then how we can make some shifts. But the actual discussions vary from person to person. And so what really helps a lot is the education piece. So I always frame it from a standpoint of, I'm going to teach you how. I don't give out meal plans because they don't work. I want to help women create their meal plan so that it will work and so that it will last. And so helping them to understand that part of it and being very upfront, the goal that you have will not happen in 30 days. It will not happen in 60 days. And so I literally say, I hope you like me because we're in this for the long haul. We've got somewhere to go and we're not getting there in 30, 60, 90 days, The other part of it is helping them to work out some of those kinks. We hear, oh, go meal plan. Okay, well, how? With what? What am I? You know what I mean? Go meal prep on Sunday. That's your busiest day. How do you do all that? You know what I mean? And so really helping them to find the way to make it fit, because my clients are older. So let's say they're 40, 50. They got stuff going on. They're not going to be getting a new job. Their husband's not going anywhere. You know what I mean? Like, stuff is just not changing as often as, as things are going to be changing. So how do we then work with that to get where we're going? And so that's that's how they have had success, because there are like big picture, everyone do this, but it's also like, hey, you need to meal prep on Tuesdays.
Mm-hmm.
You need to meal prep on Friday night. You know what I mean? And really getting down to the bottom of it. And that's why so many of them have had so much success, because it literally works for them.
Mm-hmm. I love that, because, you know, it was like you would see the Instagram meal preppers or the Instagram fitness people, and they would say, you have to meal prep on Sundays, and you have to do this, and you have to do that. And it was hard for their followers to adapt and say, well, Sundays, I take my kids to a soccer game, and I have church in the morning, I have this, that, and the other. So the fact that you're listening to what your clients want and then pivoting and altering, you're not just saying, this is what works for me.
Yeah.
So it's exactly what works for you.
Yeah. And that's what I always say. So I'll post my food and different things, and I'm like, you guys have to know, you can, like this week I'm doing like ground chicken, jerk ground chicken, which is the bomb. And, you know, I'm like, you guys have to know how much you got to eat. You know what I mean? If you don't like this, then you shouldn't be eating it. So even for them to follow and do exactly what I do, I'm like, I do this because it works for me. We got to figure out what's going to work for you that you can stick to. And so that's like the big part of it, for people saying like, oh, I actually do have some control. Oh, you know, because they come in saying, I'm not a morning, I don't eat in the morning, you know, I'm not this, and I don't want to cut this out. I'm like, but I didn't tell you what you got to, you know what I mean? So it's like them getting out all of that stuff. I'm like, all right, cool. So what are you going to eat? You know what I mean? As opposed to not having bread, not having this, not having that. It should be fun. If it's a lifestyle, it has to be enjoyable. It has to be like something that you want to do. And so it's just framing it positively, you know, to find that the good parts about it.
I like that. I really like that, framing it positively, because you hear people say, I'm on a diet, and oh, I'm so hungry and I feel miserable. And it's like, when you're changing your lifestyle so you're eating what you want, but you're still feeling full and you're feeding your body. I think the phrase that was used recently was basically eating to nourish, eating for what your body needs. And that sounds like exactly how you describe it to your clients. How did you pivot when COVID jumped off, when the pandemic started? I know you're in Jersey, so there's been a lot of mandates.
So, you know what? It was like, so I'm self-employed, right? It's like, if I don't work and get clients and keep my clients, I'm not going to have no money. You know what I mean? Like, stuff's just not going to get paid. And so it was like, I had a choice to make. It's like, are you going to, I'll put it like this. So I listened to this guy, Eric Thomas. He's a motivational speaker. He had this video that came out where it's like, don't let a good crisis go to waste. You know what I mean? And so after hearing that, it was like, this is an opportunity for you to like learn something new, add a leg to your business. Now you can go hybrid. You know what I mean? Like, so I had to really see it as, now you can reach more women. Now you can, you know what I mean, have more flexibility in different things. So I really had to go through a mindset shift first, where it was like, you got to figure this out. Like, there's women who still need you to get them where they got to go and still hype them up. And still, so if you got to figure out the Zoom thing, then you got to figure it out. If you got to, you know what I mean, like add new time, you got to figure it out. And so that's like the start of it. It was like in my mind where it's like, T, you got to figure it out. You know what I mean? And I had to, and lay it out. Like, okay, what is the plan? What do people need? How do I do the onboarding? What are the automations? And like all of like the behind the scenes stuff that you don't think is involved with fitness and online, but there's so much that has to go into it. And then even like the training that I needed to do, the pricing that I didn't know I needed to set, you know, and so I'm still recovering from some of those things that I didn't know. But I literally had to make a choice, and it happened like quick. You know, it was like an overnight thing where it's like, all right, y'all, this is what we're doing. And I had to remember sending out an email. It's like, the goal hasn't changed. We're just pivoting our strategy. That's it. You know what I mean? Like, we still gonna get our 45 minutes in. We're still gonna lift our weights. And so it was renting out my weights and like a lot of those things that had to happen. And what I also realize now is they were looking at me for my response, for their response. You know, like as their leader, so to speak.
Yeah.
So if I would have been all chaotic and all over the place, they would have been all over the place too. So I had to really get myself together. I'm like, what are you going to do? And how are you going to communicate it to your people, you know? Because you were all going through a lot, all of us at the same time. People out of work, people out of this, that, stuff's closing. You can't do this. You got to get food, no food. It was a lot happening. And so I had to take the role of a leader too, of people, and do the communication, do the reminders, make the texts, and do the calls. And so it was a lot of pivoting. Like, I didn't even realize all of that until right now. I probably forgot stuff. It was a lot of pivoting because there were so many questions and like, well, when and how long? What do we do? Can we? Like, it was a lot of stuff that I'm only one person. You know, I don't have a team of people necessarily, you know, and so it was a lot of pivoting. A lot of pivoting.
Wow. So you went from having your studio where everyone showed up in person to then going virtually and doing calls and setting up video. Yep. How did you guide your clients through that? You said you were renting out your weights. How did you kind of take me step by step through that?
So the first part, all right, so here's the steps, right? There was some people who, okay, the first thing that happened was the curfew. So at night, I used to have a 7:15 and 8:15 workout. But the curfew was 8 o'clock. So the first pivot was no 8:15. You got to get in a little bit earlier. At this time, I was still full time. I didn't have even earlier evening workout. So that was the first part. The second part was like, you got to fully close. And I told you I was hanging on. So at that point, I had rolled out the Zoom for some folks. But it was just like, here's a Zoom link, sign on. And so I was at the studio, it was like me at the studio, I had it set up, and I had a couple people in there with me because they were hanging on. And I wasn't trying to close. I'm being honest. I'm like, I'm not closing. Like, we're just not doing that. My guy was like, you're closing. Like, we're just not doing that. The mayor said you got to close. What you mean you ain't closing? I'm like, what I can't do. I'm staying open. So I was fighting too. Like, I'm not closing. And then I'm like, all right, T, you got to close, right? So then we finally do close. And then my studio is a good size, but not with the whole 6 feet and all that stuff. We tried it for a little while. 6 people in a room is not sustainable for me. I'm working to pay the rent. Not going to work, right? Okay. So then we finally closed. One of the first things that I did was I created like this PDF that kind of walked them through the steps.
Good.
Step 1, with the screenshots and all of that good stuff. The best part about it all is I still have 80% of my clients.
Wow.
And so that was the blessing. Like, a lot of them stayed. So even before that PDF part, I had to create new prices. And at the time, I didn't know what online coaches charge, and so blah, blah, blah. And so it's significantly lower, but that's all right. And so I did like some initial packages, and they were only supposed to be for 3 months because I was like, oh, we'll be back, And so that was the first part. Like, all right, here we go. Choose your package, because it was right around a new month anyway. And so that was that. So pricing, here's your package, here's how you sign on. And then it was like getting people on, doing the trial and all of that good stuff. Some people couldn't get on, so I had one-to-ones and like all of that stuff. Even like people hooking them to their TVs, their iPads, their phones, the computer. Which one do I use? Where do I put it? Is it high, too low? Can you see me? Like all of those things. All of that, And then something on my end that I did, what was important about being in person was the community, like us seeing each other, feeling connected, all of that stuff. And so I spent some time figuring out, what does the online community look like? So in the beginning of my classes, I have like a motivational quote. We'll chat a little bit. I created like VIP groups on Instagram and Facebook so we can kind of chat. Just really figuring out, how do we still be connected? Because at that point, it was when we were all at home, nobody's doing anything. So you weren't seeing people, But at least when we signed on to our workout, like, oh, I see Jen, and they already knew each other. So now it was just like that extension, like, oh, there goes Sean, Nubia, so on and so forth. So that was then the second part of it, like the getting them to work out and get on and still see that they can still get results.
Yeah.
Because they were like, that's online, this ain't gonna work, and all that stuff. I'm like, yo, and at that point I'm still intense, but I was just as intense, if not more, because I had to like show them you can get results at home, even though I didn't even know, I'm just like, I'm going to do my best. But it's crazy because they're seeing better results now.
Wow.
Doesn't matter how, but they are. And so that was like the initial kind of things with it. And then as I started to realize what they needed and all that, that's when I got the Calendly for like, schedule a call with me. I got like a new scheduling system that was a little bit easier for me, for them to book, the text message, got more consistent with my emails, just different things.
I love that. So this pivot actually really helped you advance and develop different skills.
I had to. And I think like, no, I know I wasn't trying to do it before. I'm like, I'm not doing that. Like I have some clients who are still clients who ask me, they live in South Jersey sometimes, and like, yo, T, when you gonna do the online thing? I'm like, I'm not. That was my answer. I'm like, I'm not, And now it's like,
you have to.
What we're doing, and it really does work. Even for me, having to just kind of get up, I don't gotta like head over to a place, open it up, set everything up, clean it up, break it down. You know what I mean? So, or I've been traveling a lot. We've been doing some road trips. I just pack my weights with me. You know what I mean? I don't have to worry about clothing and canceling classes and all that. We didn't miss a workout. We missed maybe one workout this past Monday because I had something to do, but we've been going since March.
I love that. Wow. Oh my goodness.
So
okay. It sounds like it. It sounds like you went from being nonstop to being nonstop online.
Yes.
It's amazing that you retained 80% of your clientele, because you said it's an older age group of women. To get them online and on a Zoom, listen, I know that is a feat.
Yes, and it really was, because if I was just talking about 20 women, you know what I mean? No, I have like 50, 60 women, like at that time. It wasn't like I was talking about just a handful. I had a lot of women. I still have a lot of women. I have even more women now.
Yeah.
And so so that was good though. It was good.
That's amazing. Okay, so walk us through how your average day starts. I know you are an early bird. When we were working together, you were waking up, what did you say, like 4 a.m.? You were doing 2 classes in the morning. You were coming to work. You were doing classes at night.
Yo, that was probably the craziest. And you know what? So I'm going to break it up into 3 parts. I will go back to that, because that was right when me and my guy started dating, or like in our relationship, we were still super new.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you knew this or we talked about this part, but he was like a reason why I was able to even do all of that. Because it was crazy. Like we wake up, he would drive me to the studio, you know what I mean? Get me there. He would pick me up. I'd come back. He would make food for us, drop me to you know what I mean? Like there were things that I'm like, yo, I give him mad credit, because there was no way I was getting through that. No way. I was hustling to the train before, like, it was like 8:36 or some stupid time. Yeah. Then I'm hustling back from the train, get to, you know what I mean? So that was then. But here we are now. So I just recently started a newer routine, because now that I start a little bit later, because I first work out until 6. I was really getting up late because I could. I'm getting up at 5:30 because I could, though.
Late.
But I'm not, right, super late. But I'm not optimal. Like my workouts are still good, but me getting up and kind of like starting my day wasn't my best. So about a week and a half ago, I'm like, all right, so you need to get up back at that 4:30 time, 4:45 the latest, just so that I can wake up, wash my face, brush my teeth, set my intentions, pray a little bit, and really get into an earlier routine. What was happening was I would do my workouts with them. then I'm praying, then I'm reading, then I'm working out. It's almost noon at that point, and I haven't gotten anything done with my day. You know what I mean? And so I had to make a shift. So I start my stuff earlier in the day so that by this time I can do this. Because normally this is when I'm praying and stuff. So I wouldn't even have enabled. I mean, I would have moved it, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so then after my workouts, I typically I'll eat or something like that, something along those lines. And then between 10 and 2 is when I'm sitting down getting stuff done. And I'm also juggling some other things. So like some real estate stuff and different things. And so I kind of chunk it up, but it looks like I got to write emails, edit videos. I got to be present on social media. So I got to do some kind of post, which I'm not the best at because they schedule calls, so I'm juggling different things depending on the day. I do nap every day, because I literally have to. So if you catch me at 2 and 4, I'm not available. Unless I have a call that I have to do because it's scheduled. Other than that, I'm I gotta power it down because I'm working my body too, and so I literally need to rest. And then around 4:30, I pick things back up. And what I'm learning too is I'm actually not optimal. I'm not my best in the middle of the day. That same time period, when we're at work, 3 o'clock, I'm I can't do nothing with my brain. So I'm doing that. But then, I get my second win 5 o'clock before our evening workout. And then, so from 6 to 6:45, we do our workout. And then 7 to 9, I'm ready. You know what I mean? I got the second win and I'm kind of finishing up some things. I have on my wall, which you can't really see, I have a lot of stuff to keep me organized, but I have it broken down by days. So Monday is Marketing Monday, Meal Planning Monday. Tuesday is Training Tuesday, Tip Tuesday. So I try to organize what I share, what I do, kind of in a theme.
Gotcha.
That's my ability, I'm only human. I don't get to everything all the time, but that's what a day generally looks like. Something else that I do in addition to my classes are Bodycomp assessments. And so if someone schedules that, that's a whole different part of my day. I go up, we do assessment, talk about their goals, their, all that good stuff, the food, their body, their muscle, their protein. You know what I mean? And so, there is some routine in my days, but it just kind of depends on what the day needs and what I have to get done. And my real clients take precedent. So if I have to do an email for them to educate them on something, that takes precedent than any social media, anything. You know what I mean? So they get my time. So if they need my help, they don't understand something, I'm hopping on a training, I'm doing a webinar with just my clients, And so that's what's been the last 2 months of us putting time on the calendar for 10, 15 of us to just train them on something. Because on social, you guys can't get everything. You know what I mean? And so I've been learning to be more exclusive with what I share because my clients get the real goods.
Yeah, they're the paying customers.
Yeah, they're paying me. If you've been following me for 3 months and you haven't signed up yet, you're just not ready. You know what I mean? You ain't. After 3 months, I've showed you so much. It's you should just already be. You know what I mean? And so, just learning how to segment my time for what's gonna keep, money coming in, and impacting all that good stuff.
Of course, it's good that you.
Yeah, that's pretty much my day, my week, what that looks like.
It's really good that you blocked your time. I've talked to a lot of entrepreneurs who said they benefit from the block time. So, 10 to 2 is work time. I've never heard anyone say they schedule nap time. But when I tell you it's a benefit, anyone besides me, because I love a nap.
I have to.
That's so smart. I mean, honestly, it's like a reset. And you said, you work out your body, you work out your brain. You need it,
Yeah. And honestly, because we've been going, so we're doing some stuff in Atlanta. You know what I mean? I live in New Jersey. So we've been driving, we've been on call, we've been doing so much stuff that I'm I need more than a nap. I need to sleep. You know what I mean? I need to sleep in. So it's also just learning, because, I'm a go-getter. I'm like, now I'm going to go until I can't. It's been learning like, nope, you're going to stop now, and you are going to pause and watch something on Amazon because you need to give your brain a break,
Exactly.
And so that's been like a self-check for me, where it's like, you can't always be on go. You can't always be on grind, because like there's literally 75 women counting on me to bring my A game. You know what I mean? On any given day or week. So that's how I've been getting through life.
I'm here for it.
My ability,
And your body will tell you when it's like, you know what, I'm about to crash. It's time to halt. And you are not only, maintaining yourself, but you leading your clientele. You can't be telling them, listen to your body, know what your body's saying, and then you're not listening to your own body when your body says, hey, it's self-care time.
Exactly. Yep.
I love that. So tell us, you were talking about the Bodycomp, and I know you were working with some really interesting technology a few months back that helped with that. Can you tell us more about that?
Yep. So this machine has been a complete game changer for a lot of reasons, but I think the most important one is two. Typically, we get on a scale, we see a number, and we're like, oh, or we're excited, depending on what's going on, right?
Yeah.
Typically, if you're looking to, lose some weight, lean up a little bit, if the number's not moving or it's not looking like what you want to look like, you're like, oh, right? And so with this technology, with this body comp assessment, I'm able to help women understand what's happening. And so let's say you do weigh 220. I'm able to say how many pounds of muscle you have in your body, how many pounds of fat is in your body. But why that's important is because sometimes when the scale moves, we lose muscle. And the less muscle we have in the body, our bodies, all kind of stuff happens as a result of that. And so I've been talking so much about, hey, y'all, we got to lift these weights. We got to make sure that we're at least keeping our lean muscle, and if not, or building it. And so educating them on what that looks like. Long story short, the less muscle you have in your body, the easier it is for you to gain weight, especially when you're older. And so helping them to understand, I had a great one this week. She has like 50 pounds of muscle in her body. And so for her, at 1,200 calories, that's what she has to eat, right? But if she eats over that, let's say she eats 14, 15, 16, and now it's COVID, people at home, we snacking, we doing all that. She's gaining weight, like, because if she had more muscle in her body, she would need, it would be a little bit more for her to be powered up for her calories or whatever. So I had to explain to her, like, this is not, we got to figure out something else, you know what I mean? But that was her conversation. You and I will have a totally different one because it's based off of like your body. Exactly. And so it's been amazing to first understand my own body, because I do one too, but also to help them understand, like, oh, that's what's happening, even on the assessment, it talks about like your knees and your back. It's like, oh yeah, I do have knee pain. Oh, I do have back pain. And they're able to see how it all works together. And that has been a game changer for a lot of women. And for me on my end is learning how to market it and get people to come in for it. And so that's something else on my list.
That sounds really cool. And so what does the actual assessment look like? It's not just getting on a scale. Is it like a scanner, or how does it work?
Yeah, you know what? It is a scanner. I have one right here. Let me get it.
Oh, cool.
And if you want, I can send you a screenshot.
Yeah.
So that you can share it. But this is what it looks like. This is literally mine from the end of July. I've been like trying to see what's happening with my body. And so this is what it looks like. If you can even see this, it's like your weight, how many pounds of muscle, how much pounds of fat you have, how many calories you should be eating per day, your body fat percentage, how strong you are at the bottom, and even, where is it? And then even like some people will look at this to see how many pounds to gain or lose. And then from here, you see I set some goals for myself. And actually these are old goals. I'm already past this, actually. But this says like where I wanted to go. I'm looking for 70 pounds of muscle.
Oh,
I was
wow.
at 42 pounds of fat in my body. And now I'm at like 37, I think, something like that. At this point, I was at 27% body fat. I wanted to go down to 23. Now I'm trying to go down to 18. I'm like, I'm out here wilding, really. But, I'm like, what happened to you? You're so slim. But that's how I use this to really set some goals. And so with this, we combine nutrition. How often should you work out? Now, some people, it's like, people will ask me, well, how often should I work out? When I had this, I can tell you. Some people gotta work out every day, because if you have less muscle in your body, you got to be moving, because otherwise we're not really gaining no traction. But other people could do 3 times a week and see results. It just kind of all depends. But then we have to do the right kind of workouts. People are walking, which is great, but then you're walking and you're losing your muscle. Not great. And so I've just been talking about like all movements, not the same movement. Great, but we need to think about what kind of movement does our body need. We need movement that's going to keep our bones strong and help us to build muscle. And so that's what you get when you get one of these. And it typically, like, we spend like a good half an hour, 40 minutes, because you got to really understand what these numbers mean. And now the first time someone gets one is great, but the second time is better.
That change.
You see, you know what I mean? You can see how things change from one time to the next, and be able to understand and assess what's happening. So with me, I'm like, all right, I wasn't tracking my meals like I'm supposed to. We all have to be mindful of what we're eating. What I mean? Even me, it doesn't matter how many pounds I've lost. And so this kind of helped me to refocus and really see what's happening. So that's the Bodycomp and why I love it.
I'm here for that. When you were describing it to me, I was just like, what kind of space age technology? I was like, I didn't know this was possible. So how do you discover things like that? How did you stumble upon that? And how did you convince yourself that it was necessary for your business?
Yep. So randomly, a friend of mine, this was probably like 2017, a long time ago. I was visiting her in North Carolina because she lived like in Charlotte somewhere. And she said, yo, T, we should go do this assessment. I'm like, all right, cool. You know what I mean? This is me not really knowing anything. And so I got my very first one back in 2017. I still have it. And understanding like the macros and all of that, like protein, fat, carbs with that assessment helped me. I was like, oh. And so that was like one of the first nuggets of my success. And so because it worked for me, I'm like, okay, it's one of the things that will work for other people. Like some of the things that I had to level it up. Like they didn't explain it to me the way I explained it to my clients, but what's on there has been pivotal. And so I said, once I get my studio, I got to get one of those machines. Period. I didn't even know what the machine cost until I was like, oh, I need to find some money for this. I was like, oh, this is like an expensive machine. But I had to have it. And I found a way to get it, and now I own it, and I have it forever. And so it's definitely been a blessing. And so even it's a portable machine. So wherever I go, I can take it with me. So when we go to Atlanta, I put it in the trunk, and I'm like, who need a Bodycomp? Because let's go. So yeah, that's pretty much. I didn't even know about it until a friend of mine told me about it. Honestly.
That's amazing. I imagine you have like a good circle of people around you. I guess it's a community like Boss Babes. You share information and someone thinks, oh, Tamasia would benefit from this, or Tamasia's clients would benefit from this. So how do you cultivate that environment and that culture in your friend groups and your family? What does that look like for you?
You know what? That is something that is a work in progress. Personally, I'm evolving. And as you know, or may have experienced, and even listening may have experienced, everybody's not going to the next level with you. And everybody who's around that have gotten you where you are may not be the people to go to the next level with you.
Amen.
And so I'm in the process of figuring out what that I don't want to say new, but that evolution circle looks like. Because my close friends we're in different parts of our lives. You know what I mean? Like, of my friends, I'm the only one who's self-employed.
Okay.
You know? Two of my girlfriends just got married. You know what I mean? And so like things are just a little bit different. And I'm looking for something that nothing against them. You know what I mean? I'm just looking for something different with the people that I'm around to push me to the next level. Because it's like, if you're the top achiever of your friends, you need some new friends. Not tooting my own horn or anything like that, but just like, I'm ready to see what that next level looks like. And so I recently got introduced to this group of women who are younger, not necessarily fitness, but just like motivated, got their goals, you know what I mean? And so now trying to, find my way in what those relationships look like, to push me to the next level. And so that one is a work in progress. I have some friends who, and I love them, it's nothing against them, just like me and how I live and how we live, that it's like, this is how I am, you know what I mean? And so just figuring out where I fit in some of that. I've lost, or if you want to call it that, there's some people that I'm not as close to anymore. Because our discussions are different. I'm like, oh, okay, we still talking about old boy. You know what I mean? I'm thinking about real estate investing and you're talking about old boy. You know what I mean? And so it's just like, that's kind of where I am and where I'm going. I'm like, I'm thinking about marriage and premarital counseling and you talking about old boy. You know what I mean? Like, we're not even in the same thought space, And then I'm at a place now where I'm not carrying folks. You know what I mean? Like, we got to hold our own weight and push to the next level. So just really been assessing what the people close to me, you know what I mean? And what that value add looks like and what that friendship looks like. I love them all, but now I know, oh, you the old boy girl. So I'll kick it with you when I'm looking for something that ain't going to challenge my brain. You know what I mean? But again, I got a short span for that, So it's a great question, and I'm literally work in progress with that one.
I get you. We worked together, and I remember I had just started my podcast, and you were the person I talked to when I knew I wanted to talk business and I wanted to talk research. And it was like, I knew who my circle was for certain conversations. So the fact that you're saying you're seeking out people who are similar to you now, who don't even have to be in fitness, but to be entrepreneurs, to be self-starters, to be people who, I'm sorry, I cannot spend an hour or more talking about your boyfriend when I'm thinking about a million other things on my mind, about how I want to progress myself, So I can relate.
So if you have maybe this is an opportunity for us to get back to it, because we had a good thing. It's just like, life. But if you have like groups or circles or events, I definitely want to, get involved with that stuff.
Yeah, reconnect. It makes sense. I get it. So I want to know, I know what your mission is, but what do the next 5 years look like for you?
Fitness coaching wise,
life, what does it look like?
You know what? So here's what I'll say. This COVID has really helped me to understand, like, things gotta bring joy and it gotta bring peace.
Amen.
And so that's what the next 5 years looks like for me. Like, I could put a number for dollars and all of that, but I'm really like, I'm about my peace. I'm about my joy, and doing things that allow that to happen. So I find a lot of joy working with my clients. So I don't see that going anywhere. I have a lot of peace in our household. You know what I mean? I don't see that going anywhere. Just like the evolution of what that looks like. And so that's like the big picture. Yes, I have some big goals. If you could see this wall,
I see it.
And so yes, there are some things that I want to hit, a way that I want to live, but at the end of it all, it boils down to joy and peace. And so that's how I will sum that up. That was actually a good question, because I didn't even know I had it on top of the brain like that.
That's so funny. You talk about prayer and manifestation every morning. Every single morning, I want health, I want safety, I want
Yep.
happiness for
Yep.
everyone in my
Yep.
family, not just myself. So
Yep.
having that at the top of your mind, you can keep that there over the next 5 years, the next 10 years, it keeps you aligned.
Yep. And so that's what I am, peace and joy, well, of course, health, all that good stuff. But I feel like there's some things that are byproducts of other things. You know what I mean? So, yeah, health, wealth, all of that stuff will be right there with peace and with joy, because I'm doing things that bring me joy and bring me peace. So on and so forth. I've gotten very spiritual too in the last maybe like 6 months or so.
Wow.
The evolution of myself.
Oh my goodness, that's such a shift. That's so exciting.
Yeah.
So I'm going to dial back a little. We're going to circle back. What was the final straw for you that pushed you from 9 to 5 and studio to just studio self-employment?
It was a choice that I had to make. And I think about the exact day. I know the exact day, the exact moment. I remember it all. And it really had nothing to do with my external environment. Nothing to do with my boss, nothing to do with the assignment, none of that. Because I was doing it. But it was also, I just wasn't fulfilled. And so I had to make a choice. And you know what? I had already made the choice. I was just scared to act on the choice. And so it was, no risk, no reward. You know what I mean? Like, what you gonna do, And it was on that day that I just was like, yo, I'm done with this. And that was the moment. And I remember texting him and I said, yo, talk some sense into me. And he just said, go with your gut. And you know what I mean? In that moment, I was like, your gut's like, you're done here. You know what I mean? And it was really all about me and like how I was feeling and what I wanted to do. I'm tired of the hustle and bustle. This ain't even, I'm not even that. You know what I mean? And just setting myself up and going with the decision, no matter how bumpy the rocks and all of that good stuff. And since then, I've had moments. I'm not a 9-to-5er. I know that. I knew that going into that. You know what I mean? I knew I wouldn't be there long. I just didn't know how. I didn't know how long. I didn't know how I would depart.
Yeah.
That was a crazy depart, but it is what it is.
Things happen.
Yeah. But since then, there's been moments I'm like, I should just get a job. You know what I mean? I should just whatever. I'm like, but you already have a job, and your job could probably give you 11 streams if you work those streams. You know what I mean? And so focus. Stop looking for the easy way out. You know what I mean? Or the what seems like the easy way out, the safe way out, and build your clientele. And I'm at a point now where my clients are not going anywhere. So even if right now I didn't get any more clients, I just like, I'm gonna rock out with y'all. They're not going anywhere. You know what I mean? I know that I got X amount of dollars, you know what I mean? And kind of rock out from there. And so there was a lot of it has been mental shifts, where it's like, all right, you trying to do this for real? All right, you're going to do this for real. And then with that, it's like the universe, spiritual God, whatever you want to call it, has blessed me because I decided, it's like, you got to decide. And that was it. I remember, I used to take the PATH train from World Trade. It's like an 18-minute walk. I was doing it in like 11 minutes.
Wow.
No, I was hustling. I'm like, no.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
So I tell you, I was moving, Felicia. I was moving, I'm just like, no, there's got to be a different way. And that's just that. Yeah.
That's good. I think you've always been a very analytical person. You've been a self-aware person. So it's a shift. It's a moment when your mind is done with it. Your body is done with it. And it's just like, okay, it's time for me to actually move away from this. You know?
What I've also learned from that and other experiences that are similar to that is like, you got to take care of people. You got to respect people. You know what I mean? Assistant or not, janitor or not, like whatever the roles are, it's like we're all people at the end of the day, and people are loyal to people who care for them and show them respect and have an interest in all of that. Whereas, I have clients who just this morning, I can see her, I'm like, she's like not moving right. I'm like, Evelyn, you all right? And she's like, oh, my back, whatever. Meanwhile, it's 20 other people on there with her. And I'm like, at the end of it, I said, Evelyn, take it easy today. You got to rest. Don't be so hard on yourself. That's caring about people. That's how people stay connected. That's how people are loyal. She's not going nowhere.
Yeah.
And so I just make sure like I do my best to take an interest and care. You know what I mean? Because that's what it's about at the end of the day.
So we can see what you've learned from that experience from being in 9 to 5. What is the most important thing you've learned from working directly with your clients? I mean, it really sounds like you all have a community. You have 20 people on a Zoom call and you were able to see Evelyn's back wasn't feeling too great. So what have you learned from them? What have you gained from those relationships?
So, okay. That's actually a great question. We think about leadership, and we think that the leader has to be it all, know it all, have it all. You know what I mean? And so what we have learned through all of this is like, yeah, I may be leading you guys. I may know more. I may be able to help you get where you're going, but we're all working together to get somewhere together. You know what I mean? So like having to learn things for them helps me stay on my A game. You know what I mean? Have to making sure that I'm also on point with tracking my food because I have to show a video. You know what I mean? And like use some of these tools, helps me to be on my A game. And so like it comes full circle because I may have lost X amount of pounds, but now I'm learning how to maintain. And so now it's helping me to then be able to say, when you get where you're going, this is how you maintain. You know what I mean? And like that kind of stuff. And so I'm able to lead, but they get to help me, I guess, evolve, if you want to use that word, through what they're going through and what they need. Like I've had to learn about bone health and calcium and vitamin D and different things because I had some women talking about their joints and their knees and stuff like that. And so it's now I'm like, how to protect my own knees. You know what I mean? So I think that's the biggest thing where it's like, I'm like the leader of the people, but we all kind of take and give and pull from each other because we really are all working together toward this bigger picture. So I think that's probably what I would say.
I love that. I can really appreciate that. I'm picturing your classes now, and I remember you gave me a rundown of the few of the options you had. Can you give us a rundown of what classes you have now? I remember there was a twerk out. I mean, it sounded so fun. So give us a rundown of your menu and what's your top selling class?
Yeah, so it is membership based. And so people can choose from, like if you're new, it's like 3 or 4 workouts per week. And so that's like the way it works. And my classes, I think the most fun class is kickboxing on Thursdays. That's the most fun one. What people tend to like the most is the strength training where we're lifting and all that good stuff because they're challenging their body in like a cool way. And so all the classes are called something fun. So there's like back and belly blast, booty and belly burn, like all those cute little names.
Yeah.
But they're hard work. So I really haven't done anything super, super fun fitness wise because I was really trying to like figure out what does this space look like, twerking and glow in the dark and different things that I used to do in person because it was a controlled environment, having a DJ and all of that. I haven't done that kind of fun stuff. We've had like dinners where we'll like eat together and do that. I am working on like an Afro beat kind of thing with the DJ. It's just that I want to be in the same space with her. And so just ironing out some of those details, and then like it's still COVID, it's still got to be safe and all of that. And that's it. You know, the workouts are fun because they're always different.
Mm.
So if you think between March and now, it's what, 6 months or so, let's say 20 classes a month, that's 20 times, that's 120 workouts, and they're all different. So it's never, you're never going to get, we may be doing bicep curls, but I'm going to give up some twist. We got to do some kind of, you know what I mean? Something that we'll have to do. And so you never know what you're going to get. Except, you know, you're going to get a great workout. That's what you can always bank on. I think that's what keeps them. They're like, what's she going to think of next? You know, how's she going to do this next?
Yeah.
And so that's that there. And because I've had my clients for so long, we can do a lot of good stuff because they are in much better shape than they were before. And that helps me. I have to constantly level it up. I'm like, they done conquered that already. So now I got to figure out what's the next challenge going to be for them.
Yeah, they expect more.
So the newest thing on my menu of classes, I guess you can call it, is an intro to strength training workout, because you have to have a beginner level. And now that we're online, it's too much for someone to come in, be brand new, and be at my pace that I'm in. Or that I have rather. And so I have an intro class where we go over form and the basics and how to hold the chest down, how to breathe, all of that good stuff. And so I think that's been also a good one too, to get some new folks in the door who have been thinking about it, but it's too hard, you know, so on and so forth. And so yeah.
I like that. I found that a lot of fitness classes I've gone to don't have the intro step. So I like to do a lot of dance classes, and it would be like, okay, now everybody do the 1-2 and do the octopus. I'm like, I don't know how to do the octopus.
Right. Yep.
That's
and
really
so imagine that in an online space where the instructor can't walk over to you and say, hey, do the octopus. You know what I mean? And so that's just me trying to get creative. Like, how can I actually help these ladies with their body, you know, especially if you think knee pain, back pain, all kind of stuff.
And that's all about client retention, because the more you make sure they're comfortable, make sure they know what they're doing, make sure they feel like they're being welcomed into the community and walk through each step, the more they're going to want to keep coming back to you. So I can appreciate that.
Yep. And so I'm just like, how do I build my monthly revenue?
And
that keep coming in, period, you know?
You gotta keep people coming back and new people coming in.
Exactly. So that's the winning formula.
I like it. Okay, so to wrap up, I want to know any projects you're working on in the near future. What can we look forward to? And let us know where we can follow you on social media.
All right. So you guys can follow me on Instagram. That's curvylista.fitness. On Facebook, same thing, Curvylista Fitness. And I hope Felicia will break down how to spell it. And then, or of course on my website, so that's www.curvylistafitness.com. What's new for me? We're going to be doing in January, the whole new year, new me workout, vision board party. That's probably the newest, most exciting thing that's going to be happening from me. I'm hoping that by June we'll be able to travel more regularly. I'm going to be doing a retreat with my ladies.
How fun!
So we can sweat in the lift this time and show these bodies off. It's probably the two most exciting things that I'll be having with my clients. But in order for that to be a part of that, you got to be Curvylista. That's not open for everybody. I do very special things with my ladies, and those two things will be one of them. Other than that, this was fun. Yeah. Did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. I'm so excited. Oh my goodness.
Awesome. So if anybody needs help with those body goals or looking for a great workout, you guys know where to find me. Follow me on social for motivation, food, workouts, all that good stuff. And then we'll take it from there.
Awesome. And the best way to sign up is at your website?